Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, probably 18 and up unless you have a custodial account. Before I completely ruin this intro, that is not clickbait on the title. Let's just pull up the VIX real quick because the volatility is not going anywhere. So right now, the VIX is headed south. And if you guys have ever followed me for any amount of time, you've heard me break down the VIX. I don't zone it out like you hear me zone out everything else. Because, and I have to just preference this, I use this like a light switch, right? It is on or off. Right? So every chart, right? Every stock out there, it's red and green candles, right? So when the VIX is up, that's a big red or green candle possible, and then when it's below, it's probably just small, medium red candles. We continue on as such. The VIX sold off today, and it's selling off, and everybody's just thinking sunshine and rainbows. Unicorns and roses. We're just going to go to the moon, and Nvidia certainly got that memo and absolutely sent it today. So anybody in tech, you probably saw that. But there's one distinct thing. Now, honestly, I do think the fireworks are probably done for the week. But the one thing I'm going to show you is volatility. And I don't want anybody to think, oh, I'll check the volatility. Let me check the VIX. Let's check the VVIX, the volatility of the volatility index. Nothing. Still selling off. All the same. Okay? Before we get into anything, check out the S&P right here. This should be alarming because this tells me right now that the stock market couldn't predict the weather for the next 15 minutes if it was standing outside with not a cloud in sight. Okay, this is bouncing off the padded walls, not looking good. Last week, we did 3 standard deviations down, 1% chance of that happening. And this week, we just broke the standard deviation to the upside. Why are we catching the market so off guard? And if you actually look at just historically, when we usually break a standard deviation up or down, right? It's not biased. This is what market makers have priced in to both up and down. It's kind of how they handicap the risk, kind of how they know what's going on. As long as the mice play in their little cage, the cats don't need to come, right? And if you just look back, and I did a lot of this with back testing because I had a trading bot for the longest time, and I would sell call options, and put spreads off this every week. And I used to have it turned off if it would break standard deviation because you don't want to take losses when you're selling an options contract back to back. So I started really deep diving into it, and when we break that standard deviation, oftentimes we price it in the next week. So if we just pull up let's just pull up the expected moves real quick. So looking at this, IWM 657, QQQ 1388. This is normally like $11. This is normally 10. This is 5. Everything was elevated after last week's 3 standard deviations down, and we just broke this one up. So which one is it? Who's getting it wrong? Why is everyone so wrong? And that's what I would really watch out for because that kind of seems like we're just unraveling at this point. We don't know what to do. Market makers have no idea what to price in. Should we price in a bunch of calls, puts? So far, everyone on the table thinks we're going to be within this range, and then, surprise, we just absolutely send it. After all, sending it down first and then right back up. Janet Yellen determines price discovery. So anyway, good evening, everybody. I just wanted to cover that first because I'll get into my opinion next because I kind of think we're going to rein it back in. I do think we're going to dial it back in and be done. But when we're playing with volatility like this, oftentimes, like the next day, we'll find out it's like something I was like, oh, yeah, that could happen. And then I move on. And the next day, that's exactly what happens. It's like there's the 90% probably what's going to happen, but then we're just jacking around in volatility land, and it's all the other things I kind of just slightly mentioned just to put that disclaimer out there happens. So if we absolutely send it, let me see, what's the S&P? S&P's two standard deviations, 566.27. At this point, I'd be scared to even sell those. Perfect. Oh, she almost. For everyone that's been following me, you guys know the second we get to that 1.5 standard deviations, I sell $2 spreads all day, like they're going out of style. I mean, probably more than any Girl Scout has ever sold cookies. You know, as long as we get to that 1.5 mark, right about to this one standard deviations here, 2 standard deviations here. Once we get to that 1.5 mark, usually the 2 standard deviations, which were absolute junk contracts, not paying crap, you know, they've juiced up a lot. All the gamblers have flooded in, really driving liquidity into those, and then I sell it. I take their money. I don't know if I would this week, to be honest. I might get talked into it, but it'll certainly be a lot less. It won't be 20. It'll be 10, if not 5. So that could still be said. I think a lot of people are going to talk about support and resistance, and we should watch out for this level. And you certainly should. But right now, more importantly, the fact that we're above here should grab your attention. Now, I say anytime we get above this, I say this a lot, more often than not, we rein it back in, we bring it back in. Market makers don't want to do any work, and plus these poor market makers, they had to do work last week. They had to delta hedge to 3 standard deviations. They're probably tired. They had to move their thumbs. They're opposable, poor little thumbs. They're not the Optimus bot with metal fibers. They are muscle. They are deteriorating as we speak. Probably looking at health benefits, carpal tunnel. You know, I don't know where it's going to end, but it's going to be a lot. Anyway, those poor guys or girls, elephants, and whatever they identify as. The they, thems, all of them. I just want to make sure I cover everybody. I'm not being sarcastic. Anyway, whoever's a market maker out there who had to do work last week because we didn't want to just bring it back up. We just went into absolute melt mode. Sent it. I don't know. Do they want to do work twice a week? Nvidia does need to chill. Yeah, Nvidia needs to chill. There was an event today with Goldman Sachs and Jensen Huang, and I wasn't in there because they had reached their capacity. I'm pretty sure what he announced was we're going to start giving away our new chips at Sam's Club in the sample section and see if everyone likes them, and then we're going to sell them at Micro Center for $50. I think that's what they said because that's certainly what the chart says. You know, looking at the charts, I think Jensen Huang said, I like what Oprah's doing. I'm going to take a page out of her book. H100s for everybody. We're on to the new stuff anyway. So you get H100, and you get H100, and everybody does. Now use that processing power to its fullest and report back. So anyway, I hope I've driven that enough to the fact that this should be cause for some concern in your trading portfolio. You know, as far as investing goes, you'll see moves not quite like this, but the ups and downs are just part of the game. For any traders out there, and I'm specifically speaking to 0-day expirations or futures traders, it's not time to go all in on anything. You know, it's just, if you want to play this volatility, do it. If you think you got the setup, I like to take 2 losses before I just say enough is enough. I'm probably just taking 1 on a lot of these. You know, so I'll buy something as it hits a zone, and let's say it drops down, wicks out, tags out, jumps back up, you know, obviously creating that wick. I'm like, okay, I was off just a little bit. Let me get back in. And I put my stop loss below that new wick. After that second loss, something's not jiving, and I'm out, you know. This is what I mean by I'm probably just going to try to catch that knife once. I either make it or I don't. You know, the little roulette ball just didn't land on my number. Let's jump into the stream like we normally do. All right, starting off with the dollar. Hitting this weekly zone. I'm okay with the sideways action as long as we remain right here, and we're going to turn this thing down a little bit. I'm still incredibly short the dollar. I'm US dollar, Japanese yen short. What I did here was, if you guys are new and you guys just don't know, a lot of market makers and market movers, they do subscribe to me. They know these zones, so I like to throw them little signals so they don't get confused. I have to leave the monthly zone there, but I want to let them know, like, this is the plan. Don't mess it up, or we're going to fight. You know, something along those lines. This is what I'm really hoping happens. These are monthly zones. This 140 mark on a smaller time frame is a zone. That's where management modes probably have to step in. So anybody that is short this, remember, I'm on the weekly time frame. There's a reason I'm looking at the monthly zones. Anything daily, 4 hour, you're going to want to watch out for this 140. And it might even be a decent oversold bounce at that 140 zone. Maybe tag out, go long for a bit, and then jump back in short. I'm not going to take that play. I'm staying short. I am 1 million units short, and I'm only going to add. But I'm going to have to let all that play out first before I add on any more. All right. I'm also short the US dollar CAD. I don't know what we need to do with maple syrup and oil, but make it happen. I'm rich. I didn't know I was rich today. Hang on. We did reject that zone. Last I checked, we had not. Heck yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm rich. Sorry. Not condescending, but I added on at 136078. 136078, almost top ticking it right there. Right, that type 1. So that's up. Now melt this thing down, okay? I think, obviously, maple syrup should be, it does not get the attention it deserves. It should. Oil, send that thing to the roof, because who likes cheap gas anyway? When you got this stuff playing out, you can afford the extra gas. So melt that thing down. You know, anything bullish, the CAD would send this thing down, which is what I'm saying. I'm also short the U.S. dollar. You'll notice Canada, I think all they have is oil and maple syrup. And they even look the same, pretty similar. That's what drives a lot of their economy. You're short how much U.S. dollar Japanese yen? It's 10 lots, 1 million units. Thumbs up now or pulling the plug in 5, 4, 3. That is how fast I talk to my kids, too. If I have to count, it is that pace. And they move. I've noticed other parents, they talk a lot slower, and the kids move slower. You get that countdown a little bit faster, they start moving, a little pep in their step. A little parenting advice out there. All right, Bitcoin. Listen, I don't really care about the debates. I know, I think Meet Kevin's a big YouTuber that talked about it. He thinks Bitcoin moved because of Trump and the debates. I'm just not in that camp. I'll just put it that way. I don't care if it's right, wrong, or what. Not a camp I'm in. I'm just going to stick to the zones. Still had some sellers here. Made it as low as this zone. We're right back up. I think Meet Kevin drew a line somewhere. He talks about his lines a lot. 57. It's somewhere right here in the middle. Market makers shorting your videos. They don't want you to get views. It's why I'll never grow. They have the plug on the videos. Not the cool plug like the slang term. They have the actual plug, and they just like to unplug it when I'm done. Don Fron for president. I don't know if you guys would want me as president, but I'm down. I am certainly down to run the next election, or not the election, the next debate. If there's somehow I could get into that chain, if there's something I need to do, let's do it. I could run a debate way better. For starters, I would mute their mics. I'm going to ask them a question, answer the question, or the mic is off. And I'm going to remind them, I asked you a question. Answer it. I couldn't stand that. I really can't stand that debates. I don't know why I get upset like it's ever going to be any different. This is the last thing I'm going to rant about that. Does it not drive anybody else crazy? Especially when they ask a question you want an answer to, and you get like the perfect politician response where they just point at the other person or just kind of just swerve the other way. You're like, no, rein it back. I had that question on my bingo card. Answer it now. Anyway, rant over. Bitcoin hanging out. Again, for anybody that maybe are just chiming in, I don't have any high expectations of Bitcoin until after the elections. I know I just said it's not tied to Trump or anything, but this is like a disposable income asset. Regardless of what anybody says, people that are buying this, anybody retail, it's like the extra money. There's the weird ones, you know. They have they're very allocated. But then there's everyone else that's like, I bought $20. You know, I bought this and that. That's also the first to go. Savings accounts are gone. Credit cards are maxed. Tinfoil hat or not, you know, election season, so maybe gas is a little bit cheaper. Maybe hold on a little bit longer. When things get rough, I think this is the first one to go. I just don't think anybody's making any big decisions right now. Also, that goes for real estate. Anybody else notice that? Whew. I don't know. And I get it. There's no way I'd be buying $1 million house right now. Absolutely not. We're going to hang that up for a little bit. S&P. There's something really upsetting about today. And I mean this close. This was right here at the bottom. Of course, you know, obviously now, hindsight. It was right here at this zone. So I did this the other day, right here. And I bought it and just trailed all the way up. It didn't tag out until later that night over here. I saw the exact same move, an absolute panic and meltdown. And we started to turn up. And then I saw this bull flag or reversal. And I started to think, like, all right, I'm going to have to alert the chat. I'm going to have to let them know I'm in it. And I was like, nah, because how that played out so perfectly yesterday, The part that sucks about running a chat and telling them everything you do is when they miss out on that winner, the second one, like, I'm not going to miss the next one, and allocations out the risk management out the window. They're like, I'm going to follow this guy, and it's usually off the bridge the second time. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but that's really why I didn't take the long play right here. And this wick was already there. It's close to the end of this candle, and I was about to just go long. Long ES. You know what? This from here to here was a great trade. From here to here, talk about missed opportunity. This does look like manipulation. We've talked about this exact move before. You drop a whole bunch, create that panic. That gets everybody to sell their positions, and then you gobble it back up. It's why I was telling everybody, not financial advice, but for the love of God, please buy Tesla. Basically what I said, you're going to recognize the move right here, as a matter of fact. So you can go back to my videos. If you're on TikTok, just go to the YouTube. This exact move right here was what I was talking about. And then it happened again right here. They melt it down, create that panic, and then send it. Now, they jump into market movers, market participants, not market makers, because there is a difference. They play this game for a reason, and it's not to make 12 cents a share. Okay, they're not going from here to here. They want the bigger moves. And I assume it's because they know something. And that's what today looked exactly like. And that's why I just think the market is probably unraveling. Again, getting back to what I said in the beginning, we're outside of standard deviation right now. After last week, which is 3 standard deviations down, you've probably heard me say that way too many times on this stream alone. But I can't stress how crazy that actually is historically to be outside standard deviations. First of all, 3 standard deviations, and then right back at it again the following week. We already had bigger moves priced in. The best longs come from crowded shorts. I believe today was that scenario. People fading the market on job numbers from last week. Yeah, I agree. Alan, I'll say it one more time. That sounded very condescending. But I said it a lot in the beginning. I actually kicked this stream off if you want to rewind it. And for everybody that is just joining now, we were 3 standard deviations down last week. There's a 1% chance that actually happens. And then this week, so when that does happen, by the way, the expected moves for the next week, we're pricing in a much bigger move. Already on top of a much bigger move priced in, we are outside of it again. This is literally jumping around padded walls in a straitjacket. They don't know what to actually price in and do. Again, I do think we kind of rein it back in. I think the fireworks are probably done. We have PPI tomorrow. I want to say it's PPI tomorrow. Yeah, so more letters tomorrow. Initial jobless claims. That'll probably be those will probably come out bad. The market will sell off. We'll kind of stay right there and hang out. If that comes in good and we absolutely send it, there's just I'm not going to be I'm not selling any calls tomorrow at all. Hang on a second. I gotta. There we go. All right. Okay. Anyway, let's jump back in. Sorry, TikTok's great with this the people showing up. Nvidia chart looks suspect though, like a drop from a peak in a market cycle chart. We'll have to look at it. Tech, absolutely. So yesterday we go from rejecting this zone, jumping up, rejecting, and just bounce right out of here, and then just forgot, we were looking at the charts today, but then who's that Don guy anyway? Full send. Not a single seller right here. Bull flag. Kay says she was already doing it. You got to do it faster. We don't need stupid people. All right. But actually, real quick, so he was saying he doesn't actually show us plays. And for anybody that does think that, you can actually join. You can join the Patreon, and you can just scroll up and look at them all and do all the homework you want. Audit it to your little heart's content. You'll notice I probably made more than you ever have in the stock market. Probably ever will. And this is my slowest year. All right, anyway. Tech does look like a bull flag. I just think it's up there. I think that's a little overbought. Maybe I'm just biased. I want them to rein it back in. I don't want week after week where we're just outside standard deviations, because that's makes things very unpredictable. If market makers can't even get it right, like, who else can? As far as futures go, that's an uptrend. There's just kind of no other way to put it. There's 3 people trading overnight, so I wouldn't do too much. I wouldn't worry too much about this. Let's see. You can, because you're done. Nvidia had a ton of weekly call options. 1.9 million deltas. Well, let's talk about... Actually, let's jump to Nvidia real quick. As far as the expected moves, we're outside here. QQQ, 2 standard deviations, 476.46. Unreal. While we're on tech, let's just jump over to Nvidia real quick. It's funny how many of you guys, when you see Nvidia looking like this, don't buy it. I saw the thumbnails. Maybe they're clickbait because no one actually tells the truth anymore. Don't buy Nvidia. Nvidia to 79. That was from my group. Nvidia to 90. Everyone's calling out all these lower zones, and I guess the trend is down. But it's like the bullhorn just got bigger and louder every time there was a red candle. People just kept shouting it and shouting and shouting it. Almost one of your indicators, it's probably about to turn around. And like I said, and nothing's changed. Is Nvidia for me below 120 is like, all right, that's a buy. Anywhere from 120 to 100, again, 120, that's probably like a 1. 100, that's a 10. Time to grab it. We dropped all the way down to 101. You were at a 9 on that scale. Maybe 9.5. Anyway, and they just turned around and sent it. This is not real, right? But I just feel like anytime, so we had that, the subpoena that didn't happen. Anytime this happens, I just feel like Pelosi had some friends. They were out of town. They came back like, hey, I want to dip buy. She said, hey, 1 second, I got you. Let's just drum up some of these papers real quick. Let's get a report out there. You'll know when to buy. I'll send the signal. It'll be on the charts. It'll be down. And then all our friends buy it up, and then everybody else buys the dip. I just don't know if Nvidia, I know the second I say this, here it comes, is going to get to that $79 mark or anything sub 100. It is just getting snapped up really quick. And Nvidia, very characteristic to just go up, sideways, up. And I think Nvidia's parking it for a while. These are some wild swings for traders, but it's kind of one of those, why aren't you buying the dip things? What are all these expected? These must not be updated. Or they are, and I just deleted everything for no reason. Hang on, we're going to turn that back off. All right, Nvidia, 1 standard deviation. I have it up on a different monitor. 1 standard deviation, 110.51. Two standard deviations is 118.18. You want to know what's really garbage right now? I sold the 118 and posted, so anybody that agreed with that play, sold the 118 for scraps. Now I sold the 118 because I thought, I'll get some free money, but what are the chances we absolutely send it? Here they are. We're sending it. So I need Nvidia to pull back. Let's stop playing games. I have the 118 for this Friday. It needs to chill, especially for the scraps I sold that 118 for. I think $24. Ridiculous. But no way. Now I told you guys before. So I had the 117 sold. It sold off. Pushed back up. I'm going to keep the 117. I decided to do 118. I'm probably going to keep the 117 and 118 strike. Maybe 119, because I do think Nvidia is going to be parked for a while. I'm just not too terribly worried if it sends it. If we don't start pulling back, I'll start to, and what I mean is like I sell the 118. it runs up to 130. So the next week I'll roll that contract to probably 118. If we're hanging out, I'll start to roll it up to the 119, the 120. I still collect money when I roll. In the money doesn't actually mean anything. It's how far you are away from at the money. Theta is going to be the same. Your most theta is at the money. As it branches away, $1 away, up or down, starts to go down. It's just like a standard bell curve. So I don't get too worried when it gets in the money. I'm not worried about early assignment. I guess I would be if I had the 118. It's at 150, 160. I might think about that. But for now. So anybody following that account, you might just see me roll to the 118s for next week. We'll see. We'll see what's juiced up or not. 116 or 117 cover calls for next week. Next week I would be. This week I wouldn't be too concerned. I do think it's going to pull it back. I think we're just a little overbought. It is Nvidia, so who knows? Right now this is the golden child of the market. It's got the spotlight on it. So I guess we'll just have to see. I think this week's fine. Next week, if we get that continuation, we'll be way up. But it kind of does look like a higher low. I could probably sell you on a position and draw all kinds of trend lines. Let's just leave that out for now. Let's just do one trend line real quick. Let's do a ray. We'll do 2 points of contact. My blind, there we go, ray. Let's go here to here. Let's keep an eye on that. Just candle body, and we actually candle body, candle body, candle body. So we got some stuff there. Let's keep an eye on if we absolutely just send it. So maybe next week we'll watch out for the 126, assuming we actually just get that high. When things push up, like they can pull over or pull back. This might just pull over and go sideways. You know, it could just go sideways all the way to November and then sell off. We'll just see. Let's keep that one up there. We're going to make a pennant. Let's just flirt with it. One there. See, that was so extreme that it makes me want to put it right here. But what I don't like doing is this. If I draw a trend line, I want to say, hey, go draw a trend line on that chart. And everyone on TikTok, YouTube, everyone following me on every platform has the exact same trend line. If I start doing junk like this, chopping off candles but saying, no, the trend line's here, but that was a break and a retest and a breakthrough, and then a break and again and a break and a retest. Like, you guys start selling a position. I have to explain to you why it's there. It's not really a trend line. Realistically, I would put it right here. We gapped down and sent it right back up. Not a single chance was that going to stay in there, which is why I would have the overall trend of where are my buyers kind of on this path. But if you come up to me and start drawing trend lines like this, my first question is going to be, why did you just chop that candle out? Those people didn't matter. They don't exist. But I guess we'll leave it there and see. When it hits the X, the world stops. I think they call it the god of chaos. I think that's what the asteroid's called. I think that's when it hits Earth. So, we'll see. Matt says, I'll be watching the recording tonight. Just know I wouldn't have as much money as I do if it weren't for you. I appreciate that. I had a little talk with the group last night about just growth in general. I guess I'll say a little bit publicly to YouTube as well. I've been here for years. And it was cool when the YouTube and everything was growing, but when it goes flat and you're here for years, it started to get, it's starting, I'll just say it now, starting to get a little bit, I don't want to say old, but stagnant, and it's annoying. If you look at the YouTube ad rev, I'll show you what the YouTube, I broke it down for you guys. Here's what YouTube pays you guys. $58.65, which actually goes to my moderator, Cody, who actually does these clips. So, banging. And then you take in the fact that I'm here Sunday through Thursday. I have streamed in hospital beds, fresh out of surgery. I stream from parking lots because I had to just pull over and do the mentorship stream. I don't ever miss a beat. I mean, it's kind of just getting old because no one shares it, and they just I almost felt like it was being taken for granted. That's why it's been so cool going to TikTok, because people are sharing it. It's kind of like reinvigorating that, and it makes you wonder, like, what's YouTube even doing? why even it says overpaid. But anyway, redundant is the word you're looking for. It can be, especially because I don't live off of YouTube income. I mean, a lot of these YouTubers, it's not a jab. There's not a single chance I would ever put money on the fact that they can make money off of trading or their stocks or any of their advice. One person broke it down, and she said if you followed all these YouTubers, and she broke it down. Jeremy from Financial Education, I think he was down a lot. Meet Kevin was only down 50%, so you only lost half your account with him. I think Meet Kevin was the best at only losing 50% of your account. Can you imagine what they would do if they didn't have their YouTube income coming in or their courses that they sell? They certainly wouldn't be stocks that they're in. That's for sure. So anyway, it would. If I don't say it now, one day I'm going to randomly quit YouTube, and that's just going to be it. You're just going to not see me anymore because I'm like, forget it. Because I can be that way. Because I'll still trade every day. I'll still have all my own stuff, and I'll still make all my own money. I'll just have a whole lot more free time. Sometimes that sounds nice. But maybe I just need a day off. I might just need a vacation. Because it has been, this year earlier I took a couple days off. Started in 2016. Yeah. Cody says, I'll stream. There was a streamer who mentioned you today, so I came to watch. Which streamer? That's really cool knowing somebody else shouted me out. Like, just kind of that appreciation. It really does go a long way. But anyway. I do know it's not 100% you guys, especially for the new people that come in here, because I guess I am a little bit more advanced. I just assume you guys know stuff. So if you're new, you're probably coming in here and thinking, I have no idea. Eyes glazed over, and you're moving on. I tell my wife about you all the time. Tell her I say, what's up? I'm kidding. I don't know. I need the questions. If you come in here and just have no idea what I'm saying, tell me. One, I probably have a video that explains what you're asking, or I can make another one. If what I said just doesn't click, I'll find another way to do it. Markets would lose their crap if Don leaves. No more colorful zones. Yeah, what would the market makers do? All right, let's keep or sell Nikola. Oh my gosh, you're in that thing? Are you short? If I was short this, I would continue. I would just trail it. My stop would be probably 575. Let's see. How do you find your zones? Well, you know. Why don't you tell me what streamer it was that mentioned me, and I will tell you how he finds his zones. He just screenshots mine. I will say I wish there was a way I could teach you guys how to do zones in just one video. And there is a very big difference in just drawing a random box on the screen and actually having it planning out and understanding how it works. And actually, before we get to the rest of the tickers, I will explain this, because this was asked the other day in my group of why do I give everybody my zones with their accuracy? And they're very accurate when I'm telling you what's going on with them, because it's not just the zones. You could screenshot my zones all day long, and good luck, because you probably won't know the rest of it. The yellow box is only where I entertain the setup. I don't care about the stuff in between. It's when it gets to that zone, now what? How do we get to the zone? What's going on? I look at the overall market, the S&P. That's my indicator, as if it's a bunch of green candles, buyer confidence is there. Bunch of red candles, people are scared. There's a few more factors that go into it. I think he mentioned he was your mentor, but I can't remember his name. Only been watching him for one day. I'm sorry. I promise he was not my mentor. All the YouTubers who copy you would have to go back to saying things like, it's not time in the market. Wow, now I'm curious who's my mentor. I'm not being cocky, but I promise I don't have one. Oh, I was his mentor. Then 100% shout out to that guy. That's different. Okay. Okay, last thing, I promise we're going to get going. If another YouTuber mentions another YouTuber's name, for instance, he said, hey, he was my mentor, whatever it was, I instantly give that guy 10 times more credit. In this YouTube game, I've helped a lot of the big YouTubers. I'll put it that way. There's probably only a few that I haven't actually had conversations with, and they will never shout me out. Ever. God forbid you ever say somebody else. People just assume they were just born with this knowledge. They just came to them. It's in their DNA. So they're just deathly afraid that they're just going to unsubscribe, go watch them, and never come back. So when they can say, hey, this other YouTuber's good, or I like this guy or that, tells you a lot about their confidence level. He says, name drop them. Eddie Foxbody says, I watched your zone video. I just want to understand this as much as I can, so I don't want to ask dumb stuff and sidetrack you. I'll make you guys a promise. Make sure my admin, Casey on TikTok or Cody, knows your question. If you think it's dumb, make sure they know it, and I'll make sure it's in a video. There's a lot of stuff I've repeated multiple times on videos. We're over that. But there really is no such thing as a dumb question. The questions you think are dumb, they are literally nothing. It takes one brain cell for me to answer that question. I would much rather that question than the person who's got 47 indicators. I got to break down each one and his strategy. Trust me, what you think is dumb is probably amazing because I get to look like a hero, answer your probably really stupid question. Only stupid for me because I've been doing this for 11 years. I shouldn't even say stupid, but trust me, ask away. They're easy. As far as should you hold Nikola or sell it, this is the only ticker I have ever, and I quote this, when it came out back here, how many splits did they do? Back up here on YouTube, I said, I am hilariously short this thing. I knew it was a great ticker to short. There's just no way I would be worried about this ticker at all. Why would you have your money tied up in this? And if it has something to do with you bought it up here and your average cost is up here and you want to make your money back, forget that nonsense. That's garbage too. Tell me one trade you've ever taken in your life to not make money. There's no such thing as making your money back. You just want your money to grow. You want to click your thumbs and poof, magic money appears in your account. Especially that's why you're on TikTok. I've seen some of these TikTok videos. That's what they say. That's how it happens. It's just like the tooth fairy at night. Anyway, if you had 100 shares, that tells me every morning you have $538 sitting in your account, and you think these 4 letters are the best you can do. No. I don't care if my average cost was, $1,300, whatever it was, pre-split. If you bought it way up there and it's still $500 left, I would much rather have $500 in SOXL, Palantir. I would rather have a few shares of Nvidia. There's a million, technically not really a million. There's a lot of other tickers I would rather have my money in and growing, if that makes sense. That thing is fully backwards of what a long wants to see. Yeah, and if you've been following me, then you've 1,000% heard this a lot. There's a quick little hack I do to making money, and it's when you look at a chart, if it goes from the upper left to the lower right, that's probably what your money's going to do. So what you want to do is find tickers that look like this. They go from the lower left to the upper right, because, again, that's probably what your money will do. I used to only watch Master of Pips, but then he shouted you out, and I came here and never looked back. That's funny. Is that Forex? That's my old YouTube. My first channel was Master of Pips. It was a Forex channel. I even had a call-out service, and that's when I found out everyone is not very smart. Turn your phone upside down if it makes you feel better. SOXL all the way. I am in SOXL. I guess let's finish. We never finished the Russell. The Russell hanging in there. I would technically have to go. I'm a knife catcher, and when I see a wick like this, I would catch this knife and go along. Full disclosure, I'm not. I have a lot of tech. I'm very tech heavy. I like the big stuff. I don't have to worry about liquidity. The Russell is kind of it's traded throughout the year, few and far in between. I guess I'd have to be long this if I was being forced to take a trade. What a crappy position too. I guess I would just trade the hourly time frame. I would go long. My stop would be right below this green. Let's see. NVDS is trash. Yeah, why would anybody want to short Nvidia like that? Can you imagine shorting Nvidia? What, were you mad because you short Tesla the first time and lost a bunch of money? I'm going to make it back. I'm going to short the next rock star of the stock market. All right. Let's just break everything down. All right. We're just going to keep it rolling tonight, I guess. Technician, I'm about to type in these letters, and I swear you're catching the boot. SRFM. Surf Air Mobility. If this does not have any numbers to the left of that decimal, I'm not even going to finish your question. 1. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's not expensive, but they did enter an agreement with Palantir to power operating systems for air mobility. A lot of people have partnered with Palantir. And they're not OTC. Well, hey, that's a good check. They're not OTC. That's like saying it didn't graduate high school, but it has its good enough diploma, the GED. Yeah, we got it. All right. Zones, please. Might be a little late for the growth account. This would never go in the growth account. 1, that looks very illiquid. It's going to be hard to zone this out just looking at this. Look at all these gaps. Very low volume. I don't even need the volume profile. We've already split here. That's a reverse split just so it stays on the market. Because if it doesn't hit certain criteria, it would be off what you called the NYSE. It'd be off real quick. It's going to keep looking like this. I can almost probably guarantee it. If I was even going to buy 10 shares of this, I'd rather buy 1 share of Ford. And I do say that 100% serious. I'm not even joking right now. I would question why you would have anything in this ticker. Is that what's going on? Do I need to click horizontal line? Why is it TradingView sometimes works, sometimes doesn't? I should hit Alt-H and then lines come up. You guys can hear me hitting the keyboard. I am trying to zone this out. Technician says, don't yell at me. Okay, I guess I'll give that a zone. This is probably one it's safe to say is just going to be support and resistance by whoever's talking about it on StockTwits. It's going to be right in that vicinity. If you're new here, when I say I wouldn't trust these zones, it's because they're zoned out. They're still zoned out. Like if I was going to trade zones, these are what I would do. It's just not one I would be super thrilled about. Not, there are certain hills I will die on, and I will fight you to the death. There are other ones I'm just like, nope, not worth it. See, that's doable. All right. So the growth account, shout out to the growth account, by the way, because so someone in my group, technician, who I'm just talking to right now, he's been following me, but he's a great candidate for it because he has a job. He's missed some plays. It's a very realistic what would happen if you tried to follow me kind of thing. It's not a call-out service. I just post all my entries and exits in real time. You do whatever you want with that information. Now, he tends to agree with a lot of my plays, 97% of them. We started with 0, and then we started depositing $150 on Friday. Today, crossed the 10K mark. So you could literally stop right now and still beat all the market makers, all the hedge funds that can't do it. I can't stand that quote either. If hedge funds can't do it, why do you think you can? Oh, because my account isn't $30 billion. That's why. Anyway, 10K mark is huge. And for anybody that has a smaller account, and even if 10K is huge to you, in investing terms, that's still very relatively small. You're not living off that. You're not doing anything like that. But when you get that 5 digits in your account, that's a milestone. It's a huge milestone. PDT you might think is a milestone. That's literally nothing. If you build PDT up in your head, you're probably going to lose all your money as soon as you get there. 10K, 50K, because you're at the halfway mark to 6 digits. At that point, you will get to a point where you can pull money out and trade, and you just won't spend what you make. And it's going to be amazing. So the growth count is probably start to really ramp up right now. 34%. That's if we stopped right now. It'd be 34%. I know we've for sure taken 1 loss. Let's play it safe. I think we've taken 2 losses. I got to remember when we take a loss. That's how big they are. They're not detrimental or ridiculous. So Nvidia, hoping it chills enough to keep the 118 covered call, which it should, but if not and we let shares go, it would be with 500 profit with our adjusted average, clear margin, and we could sell puts to get back in. Just food for thought. Absolutely not. We're keeping the shares, baby. Why would technician? Hey, you've been here before. Now we have the 118 calls, and by we, I mean coincidentally, you and I are in the same play. We have the 118s sold for this week. If it crosses 118, 120, and we roll the 118s the next week, that's a full week of straight at the money theta. There's no way we're going to let that thing go at all. Bare minimum, and I mean minimum. We roll the 118s the next week. Nvidia shoots to 160. It's no longer manageable, and then we let our shares go. But there's no way I'm not going to take a full week's worth of free theta on that. Not a chance. I knew the answer. All right. +1 for Nvidia. I do think if I was in any shorter term calls, let's say you had Friday's expiration calls for this week, maybe even next week, if they were out of the money. Now, when I buy calls or puts, it's usually at the money 2, maybe 3 weeks out. It's for sure 2 Fridays out. Wednesday, I'm probably looking at the 3rd Friday now on the options chain. If I was even out of the money on that, and let's say I bought the 120s, you spent $50 on them, and they're up to $100, or from 50 to 100. Those I would have locked in at the bell. There's just no way, because tomorrow, if they decide to just chew that theta away, you're gonna feel it in any of those out of the money calls. In the money is a little bit more forgiving. But if you had anything still out of the money tomorrow and that holds here or pulls back, they're going to just get hacked right at the knees. And it's just going to suck. So I wouldn't have risked it. I would have just closed those at the bell. What would your strategy for Nvidia sold covered calls at 112 for this Friday? Roll for 113 next Friday? Yep. So anytime I'm in management mode, I roll it up 1 strike. And the next week. In cases like we had to do this with Amazon a couple weeks ago, Amazon doesn't have the $1 strikes. They're $2.50. So I don't mind going 2 weeks, but I don't know if I want to call it a rule of thumb, but kind of where we're at right now. If I can get $1 a week, then I like that. So 2 weeks out on Amazon, but I get to bump it up $2.50 on the strike price, still $1 per week. Remember, you sold the 112 call. So your shares are sold at 112. You have that, in theory, already locked in. The only thing you're going to do is you're going to collect a little bit more money, and you're going to unlock another $100 worth of profit per share, or per block of 100 shares. So I would keep the rent coming in. I would keep getting paid. I don't panic and roll up and out, 9 months out, and then all of a sudden I got to go 9 months out to go from the 112 to the 120, Don't worry about that. Just up and just keep trucking. Eventually, let's say Nvidia blasts off, right? And we're sitting at 160 next week. It'll be so far out of the money, or so far away from at the money. It'll be in the money, that you just won't make anything. At that point, you have to just let the shares go, start selling puts again, and just start running the wheel on it. Start accumulating your shares again. But as long as you're remotely close to at the money, and I know a lot of people think at the money is the shaded spot, or right at that. In theory, at the money, if it can cover that ground in an hour, you're pretty much at the money. Like who's gonna call a 115 put out of the money on Tesla? We're talking about very minute detail. We're splitting hairs. Nvidia could cover that in 15 minutes. Jensen Huang could sneeze, and that thing would be in the money. So I would call all that at the money. Palantir, you mentioned possible buy the rumor, sell the news action towards inclusion. Probably around the 23rd, I bet we do see a pullback. Thinking maybe selling half of what I own towards the 38 target, wait for a pullback, redeploy. Would like to keep the shares and sell covered calls as a long-term strategy. And that's what I'm doing in the account as well. As far as Palantir goes, I'm a little bit patient because right now we ran up and we based out. That tells me Winnie the Pooh showed up. Sorry, any of the bears showed up, and they had zero follow-through. The little Tinkerbell bear. That's all that was. Knocked on the door and said, "Can you please go down?" Everyone said, "No. Thanks. Thanks for your offer, though." Because Palantir looks like we're just gearing up for the next leg up. I don't know if it'd be quite as exciting as these two right here. I bet this probably chops and kind of grinds its way up. Probably until the 23rd. That's, I think, when everybody has to have it. So you still got a week. Personally, I'd probably let this week play out. Yeah, it's the 38 strike. So 38 strike calls are going to get rocked. I mean, 38 strike calls from here to here, same price, are still down. So being out of the money like that, if we have a bright green day, we're sitting at the 35-30 mark or even in that zone tomorrow, then I probably would consider it. Megaphone on a stick. Intel, March 21st call. When to sell covered calls against it. I guess so. This is also a play that we're in. I guess what I would consider doing is selling the 22 strike. Great. Hang on, I have to hopefully close out Thinkorswim. Okay, I'm gonna pull up the strikes real quick on Intel because we have until March. I don't know if I would sell a 20 or a 21. The thing is you probably could and you'd be fine for a couple weeks, but if it does just wake up and try to put its Nvidia cape on and run around the yard like it's a hero, you'll just be quickly in the money and in management mode for something super silly. I would rather just go a couple weeks out and sell a 22 instead of doing a typical weekly. Let's just see how far out we have to go. My login failed. Sweet. Oh, caps lock. That's my bad. I need Palantir at 37 by Friday. Can you make some calls? Yeah, I'll give him a call. See what he can do. I'll reach out to Tom Nash. See if he can't do another video. Pump that thing up. I'll reach out to the CEO. See what we can't come up with. I'll draw some lines, some arrows. Okay, so let's go September 20th. Let's try that again. I was like, wow, that really is high. It'd be the 22s for $5. Nah. Let's go October 4th for 22s. I would do October 4th, 23s. And I would even consider selling that tomorrow. So we're 23 days out, 16 days out. Doesn't really give us 16 days out. Gives us $14. A whole extra week for $9 more. I think I would. I probably will do that tomorrow and send out the alert. I'll do October 4th 22s up here. That way, if it does push up, we kind of have a heads up. I don't want to be in management mode with Intel at all. So I gave it to March for a reason, to kind of encompass some of this chopping around and down stuff. So I don't mind, because I don't think we're just going to blast. We might do this again. But I don't think we're going to walk right through that zone like it was just never there. Meta dividends next week. TikTok, you don't know this yet, but I do have a name on the streets. Okay, it's Dividend Don. I once was a pretty tech-heavy investor, but then I thought, man, you know how you really grow on YouTube? You talk about residual income. So what I did was I sold everything, and I only bought dividend tickers. Now my top 3 dividend tickers do happen to be, my number 1 is Meta. Number 2 is Tesla. Number 3 is Nvidia. Those are my dividend tickers. Meta pays 50 cents a share. Heck yeah. So, if you really want to rock that laptop lifestyle, live how I do, what you want are dividend tickers that just pay you consistent income every quarter. Yeah, Nvidia pays a whole penny. A whole one. So, that's 51 cents right there every quarter for every share that I have of these. Just saying, food for thought. All right, dividend is next week, 9/16. Oh yeah, Nvidia's is tomorrow. Gonna get a Big Mac with my $10. I don't know. I kind of think what I'm curious to see is I think tech's going to pull back. Nvidia's going to lead the way. Fingers crossed. Hoping it happens. Please, I'm trying to speak it into existence. Just know that the more this goes up, the more money I make. I'm just kind of hoping on the volatility side we just pull things back tomorrow. It makes the markets much easier to manage and hang out in. If that pulls back, I want to see if this $500 level breaks, because that might be putting in a higher low right here. Getting that 18 cents per month. Yeah. Ask that other streamer if he's watched any of my latest videos and if he knows. Say, Don was your mentor, but did he teach you his new trick? How to get dividends. What is going to be your strategy for Tesla event on 10/10, assuming it happens? Regular sell the news or different this time? Oh, it's going to be sell the news. I've made a lot of money on selling the Tesla news. Buy the rumor, sell the news. That is just a characteristic of Tesla. Again, that's like a guy walking in on his wife. You just know he's going to be mad, more than likely. Some people are into that, but more than likely going to be mad. Tesla, more than likely going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Tesla, let's just bring that up. I got to say, I'm bullish Tesla next week. If Tesla pulls back, I'm probably going to grab some. Cody, I think you're probably in the 230s or the 232s sold calls. If Tesla pulls back tomorrow, we're hanging out here, I might even go a couple bucks out of the money and grab some 227.50s for not next week. I'm going to play it next week. I'm probably going to grab the Friday after expiration. I'm kind of curious if we're going to jack this thing up. Actually, hang on, since we're already there. If Tesla pulls back tomorrow, let's see, 10/10 has the event. October 11th, we can go right after it too. We can just take advantage of all the Vega. I'm going to have to grab 230s tomorrow. I am going to buy these in case there's a run up into the event. Doesn't look quite like we're just pricing that in yet. No one's really stacking up a whole bunch of these. Buy, delivery, sell earnings. Yeah. I want to get Meta, even though I'm a Meta hater, would love the pullback. What do you mean you're a Meta hater? And think of your next words wisely. Cody, get ready to ban him. Do you hate the app? I will say I have a Facebook, and it is, you just know who can't read because they comment on your stuff. You're like, What are you talking about? Yeah. Facebook's a real great way for people to show off how much they just don't know. Not usually a fan of social media. Yeah. Yeah, Meta, I can understand not liking the platform, but Meta, there's a reason why it's my number one position and why it's mostly institutionally owned. It is an absolute beast. It is a cash cow. Reading is easy. It's the spelling thing that sucks. All right. Casey says she hates Facebook. Do you think if jobs data comes in better than expected tomorrow morning, do you think it may fill the gap? Iobek? Iobek. Give me a ticker real quick. You talking about SPY? Let's see. Yeah, Tesla. I'm bullish. If jobs data is bad, it might fill the gap on Tesla. I don't know about that one. PPI outlook for tomorrow. I've got SPY calls. Ooh, Jonathan. Jonathan Wayne. Can I call you Mr. Wayne? Bruce Wayne? You related to him by chance? You ever been to Gotham? Do me a huge solid, and I'm just going to ask you to, and I don't care for people to jump off platform, but go to YouTube after this, search Don Fran Trading, because I'm live on both right now, and just watch the beginning, because there's a very real warning, and why your SPY calls might really be awesome, or just dead on arrival. Yeah, Don Fran Trading, yeah, all one word. Would Google be a good play as they recently sold off? I like any antitrust lawsuit stuff. Lori, I know you called out Nvidia. It's coming. I do like Google. Google's one of the big ones that I own just as an AI play. I wanted to have an AI blanket. I haven't traded it much recently, but man, is it probably time. I think I am going to buy the dip. I would either buy the dip right now or I would put my alert at 153.60. If it gets above that, we're above the zone. We're above the wick. We're probably starting to work our way up. You've talked about Nvidia already. Lori, did you have an individual question about it by chance? I need Nvidia to pull back. Pull that thing back to 115 this week. Let's make a nice solid bull flag. Oh, did you say the 117 covered calls? Yeah, they're for next week though, right? I bet you'll be rolling those. I will say I would wait till roll till next week. If you're worried about assignment, do it on Wednesday, Tuesday maybe. I would at least let the weekend theta kick in, take advantage as much of it as you can. If we're still up there and we're like above this zone, then I'd roll it to the 118s, maybe the 119s if you can get paid. But yeah, since they're next week, I would just see what happens because just yesterday, the day before, everyone was talking about Nvidia to 79. Where are those guys at? One green day, and now all of a sudden it's Nvidia to 160. DJT, looking at this for a short position, not currently in it. Oh, trying to get me banned. This guy doesn't like Trump because he's short. DJT. Why would you want to short this, though? I asked that because obviously this thing's going to go to the moon. It's just that it's a $16 ticker. That's the only thing, like, how much meat is on the bones, This is like trying to eat a half-eaten chicken wing. You're just trying to pick the rest of the meat off that somebody else couldn't finish. Theta and Lori are old friends. Would I sell a put to get in Google? Absolutely. Without a doubt, I would sell an at-the-money put right now. I'm talking 50 deltas and let Jesus take the wheel. We're going to let fate decide on that one. I either own it by the end of the week or I don't. I wouldn't even lock in profits. I would just sell it and see if I own it Monday. I can do that with my eyes closed. Trump gets to trade his shares next week, the 20th. Lisa, that's important information. I appreciate that. Some of you guys think DJT will drop. You think he's going to just let go of his shares? Think he's going to sell quite a bit of it? I mean, he was back on Twitter. This is just a seashell of a company. You might as well just put your computer monitor to your ear and see if you can hear the ocean. That's about all this thing's doing. Sorry if people are really gung-ho about this for any other particular reasons. But I have, again, an income bias. When I trade, it has to make money. Has to be something I think I can make money on. And I don't see a lot of this. And I'll be honest with you guys. I just took an L on DJT not too long ago because it had broke this zone. I was in this, and I was hoping it would get one of these numbers again, 70, because I just got it kind of right over here. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's break this zone. Let's send this thing to 70, and I'm going to sell. And I'm going to hold it until it breaks down here, or it pushes up here. And it did stop out at 20.85. So it was an L. I was with it because I thought with Trump, running for president, I thought there'd be a certain spotlight to it, and a lot of people would turn this into a pump and dump. But we couldn't get that out of it. Breaking that major zone, I don't know if it's worth a short. I guess you can trade and do anything you want. I guess even I could. The question would be, how much do you throw at it? Because you can only lose your butt if you put the whole thing on the line in the first place. So we just be mindful about your allocation. I probably wouldn't have a lot on here. And since it's a $16, $17 ticker, by not putting a lot out there, and it doesn't really have that much to go anyway, you're not really moving the needle, and it ends up just being a worthless play because you don't make much. You're taking risk for nothing. On top of that, if he does something weird, I'm not selling my shares, it's still going to be the best social media platform, comes out and just says that at one of his next speeches, and everybody jumps in and buys this thing, now what's your exposure to it? It could soon get even worse for investors as Trump will soon be allowed to sell the company shares. Personally, I don't think Trump will, though. It's not like he's hurting for money. But you got to think about your public image. And if he goes dumping a bunch of shares, are the people in DJT loyal as like AMC? That CEO has spit in the face of all the AMC shareholders. And I mean, he just wipes it off and does it again. He's like, you like that? Let me get the other cheek. I mean, openly just destroys the AMC shareholders. No one cares. So if Donald Trump sells anything, he better hope every shareholder in here is as loyal as an AMC follower. Or it's going to be another bad look to me. One more thing for Kamala to bring up. It's just going to be one of those things. Don't look at me. Let's see. Cody, I actually agree with this play right here. So Cody went short, kept it small though. I'm going to go ahead and assume. What are we on the hourly? Pull that up. Tried shorting that zone. So I know this trade lost, but this is a trade I would take. What are you on, the 15 minute? 15 minute. There we go. Okay, so again, he went short right here. We know the story, right? It tagged out. This is a trade. And I talk about the trades I would take. As I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I would take that trade 100 out of 100 times. That would be a knife catch for me. If I'm already in it, because a lot of times this is a very basic trending up day. We kind of already had this, so we've seen the check mark days enough. If I was long this right now, if I'm long ES, I still would have gone short probably 5 or 10 MES contracts just to see if we don't reverse. I'm trailing one. I'll let the other one take the wheel. But yeah, 10 out of 10, I would have taken the same play and short it. 2 trades. Went long right here. Just blasted right through that. This is why I think the market's coming undone. That to me looks like manipulation. Sell it off, create that exit liquidity. I guess just create that liquidity to buy it in general, and then send it back up, which is kind of why I started today's video with, here's your warning, we're above this. If that is manipulation, and they did that, just like they did in Tesla, tomorrow we're going 2 standard deviations. And what a time to be in the markets. 3 standard deviations down, followed by 2 standard deviations up. You have a higher chance of winning the lottery, walking out of the gas station a winner, and getting hit by lightning. That's true. I looked it up. You can fact check that. This is SPY. So this is the futures, the S&P. This is what drives the order flow into the ETF SPY, which is why I don't care about gap fills on SPY, and neither should you, because this is an ETF. But yeah, I do have the standard deviations drawn out on this for a reason. Kind of see what market makers are pricing in, and we're already above it. Like tomorrow, more than likely, we rein it back in. But the way it's kind of shaping up, looks like we're getting ready to just send it anyway. Remember that one time September was automatically a bearish month, and everyone was like, "Yeah, September 1st, sell that thing off." Now we're about to talk about all-time highs. Fun game, huh? Tesla sold the 227.50s and the 230 today a bit early. I don't like this move right here, but I'm thinking we pull back tomorrow. Please pull back tomorrow. Didn't expect this much of a rally after the red. I didn't either. We absolutely sent it today, and it kind of makes the red look a little bit more obvious. Lee says I have the 549 short puts on SPY for the 20th. Sounds like you're going to be fine. If anything, the last couple hours of the market said today was, don't worry, Lisa, did you want some more? Tesla sell puts. If tomorrow pulls back, I would sell some Tesla puts. Probably even the 220s. I am going to be bullish this going into the event. So tomorrow, I can tell you guys right now, I am going to buy those calls, assuming we don't gap to 232 and just melt this thing up to 240. If we are anywhere below 225 on TikTok or YouTube, just know that I bought the 230 strike calls for October 11th. For right now, Cody, I think your calls are going to be okay on this one. Amazon, you sold the 180s? You just went in them? Oh, did you sell the 180s before it just absolutely blasted up? People on TikTok have no idea what actually happened today. I'm not here to toot my own horn or anything or to brag. This is not a normal occurrence. When I draw these yellow boxes, and I mean this, I am right way more than I am wrong. There is usually some kind of interaction, which we kind of already had. We kind of hit here, sold off, held it, sold off. We just kind of exhausted all the sellers. Because here's all there's a wick, sellers, not so many. We're starting to get into it. There's your cracks in the ice. You might have had a heads up, but we don't typically just blast right through zones. Yeah, Steve's saying, he says, now that's some volatility. 3 standard deviations down, 2 standard deviations up. Yeah, this is not there's 52 weeks in a year. We probably haven't done this for the last 257 weeks. Like the Rona was probably the last time I remember us having this kind of volatility. I'm not talking about the VIX either. I'm talking about the market makers getting it wrong. How many times do you guys get to say that? It was the market maker's fault, not yours. Yeah, this time it actually was. QQQ, same thing. We're at about 1.5 standard deviations. More than likely, we rein it back in. QQQ ends the week under 462. 80% chance. 20% chance market makers have to start delta hedging. We vacuum that thing up right to 476. It's probably not cheap because of volatility, but you could probably almost grab some 463 puts and 475 calls. They'll probably be both cheap enough and just kind of let them go, see what happens. Nvidia 116 sold. I'm with you on that one, Cody. And by I'm with you, I mean like let's knock this thing right down to 115. Everyone's sold calls are good. Let's just test this zone from the top. Why not? Let's build a nice bull flag. We'll pull this thing back. Tech can simmer it. It's just simmer it down. Okay, chill out. We get a bull flag, and then we all rally. That's what I'm hoping for tomorrow. I need one more follower on TikTok to get to 3,200. I'm at 3,199. Someone in here's got to be ready to hit the follow button. Just do it. You know you want to. It's good karma. Somebody just did it. Danny followed the creator. And D Stang. You guys are rocking. User Todd Ray, he did as well. I appreciate you guys. I genuinely appreciate that a lot. One of these days, I'm going to be TikTok famous. And at 100,000 followers, my admin will twerk. It's a deal. Or she gets fired. I think that's what we made the other day. So you got that coming. All right, Ford. Ford clearly broken. All right, rejected that zone. Looks like we're going to hang out in this range for a little bit. What calls do you have on this one, Cody? Casey says, don't remind them. If I get to 100% likes on YouTube, which is 13 more. 13 more likes on YouTube, and then I'm going to lock in Casey's deal. She gets fired if she doesn't twerk at 100,000. Casey, it's TikTok. I need to have somebody twerking on here, and it's certainly not going to be me. So you drew the short straw on that one. Tom says, phew, if I had to create a TikTok account, I would have been pissed. All right, you don't have anything sold on Ford. The 11s are junk. The 1050s are asking for it. You know what you could try? Let's say you sell the 1050s and it ends the week at 1060. You're going to roll it anyway. The 11s will still be junk. So you might as well just roll the 1050s and collect a couple weeks of just straight at the money. Dom said he sold the $10 puts today, $5 a contract. Not bad. I have Ford. All the options are junk right now. I like when there was 25 cents between options, not 50 cents. Yeah, right now it's just not moving that much. And when it's 50-cent options, like the 11s, it's just not realistically going to make that kind of move. Ford, so on times it would do this and just get to absolutely junk, and it would. I think last time it was back here, we were low. Back here, you'll be doing 2 weeks out to collect anything. So if the 11s for this week suck, do the 11s for next week, and you'll just do it every other week. US CAD, we did go over that, but I'm with you. This needs to melt, not go up. That needs to absolutely break. Hopefully that trend just continues down. And if we break just this wick, our next stop's going to be here. This just needs to break 135.48. I think we're cruising. Why did they switch to 50? It usually is 50 cents. There was just a weird dividend on those. Are those order blocks that are colored on the charts? Nope, these are zones that I draw. Thus you go live when trading. I just posted all my trades in Discord. But yeah, you do have to. I guess I trade Forex live. If it's Forex in futures because the markets are open, I'll take the trade. But I'm already short this. I'm already short the US dollar Japanese yen. I don't like that that's up. So if you're here on all my live streams, yeah, you've seen me trade live. He added this time. Finally listened. All right, ACIC. Coastal Insurance. I would not want it breaking this at all. So let's get. Oh, you're. Okay, so we kind of hit that. We dance around it, jump back up. Buyers are still here. Hit it. Now the buyers are showing up, and it's borderline horizontal, kind of giving off a little hint of the lower highs. If you bought it at this zone, my stop would have. That sucks. 985 would be my stop. So we're a little under $1 a share on this, but it's a $10 ticker. So that sucks. But I'd have to put my stop way down there. And that's how I manage my risk. I would just adjust my size accordingly. But if it bounced and we just get above $11, 11.10, 11.15, and turns around, I would sell it. Because at that point, I think we're creating a lower high. Eventually, this zone breaks and then breaks down. Or hopefully it just does this. Ultimately, it holds, absolutely sends it. And you just kind of have to worry about this area right up here. Flood insurance? Is he nuts? Oh, is this why you called out? Isn't there a storm going on right now? All right, forward wheel strategy. I have some extra money doing nothing. Were you in and out of forward a lot? Nope, I actually just accumulated. All I did was buy forward, sell contracts, buy more forward. It was a snowball that literally started as a snowflake, turned into an avalanche after years. But I guess I would sell puts to get in. I didn't do that at first. I just bought the shares and started selling calls against it. It looks like you need to be within 50% of the money either way. Right now, yeah, like I just said, you probably want to go 2 weeks out right now. Ford will liven up, and then it won't be that way. Is that how you pretty much did it? Yeah. I've been doing Tesla puts, selling and Nvidia, but got assigned several times and still have shares. However, I would like to work with a cheaper ticker for more consistency. Ford off the top of my head right now, but you know it will be a probably better ticker after the S&P inclusion will be Palantir. Palantir is it's joining the S&P 500. There's probably gonna be a sell-off after they sell off after everyone buys it up and sells it to the fund managers, right? After that sell-off, I bet Palantir is it's gonna check almost all the boxes Ford does for the wheel strategy. Ford is liquid in options. It doesn't have that volatility, so it's easy to play that game, and it pays a dividend. It just literally checks all the boxes. But I think Palantir is going to give it a run for its money. Siri confused on price. No, stop. Don't. I was just kidding. You're beautiful. Remember, be nice to the robots. They have a great memory. Do not say anything negative to Siri because they're going to take over one day. Who dis? I don't know what you mean by this. Is that an Apple call out? Am I supposed to decode that to an Apple play? Yeah, there's no dividends on Palantir, but I think the extra volatility just with the extra attraction might make up for that. That's why I said it's going to almost check all the same boxes. Who dat? What is your call out? Or is that the actual ticker? Why in my head did I just go straight to a Siri joke? Okay, so we did a reverse split on this one, huh? Bought a $4 leap and then it split. What got you into this ticker? Satellite radio? Here's the Rona crash right here. And then here's what I do have. If there's one red flag when I'm looking at charts, is everybody remembers 2021. All the gurus came out of the woodwork because all you had to do was buy something in the stock market, wiggle your phone, draw some lines, or just, say the stars lined up. There was a full moon mixed with a half sun or something. And everybody believed you because your money was up. In 2021, everything went up. At that time, there was over 7,500 tickers. Fun fact, there's just a little over 6,000 right now. That's adorable. Remember that whole time in the market versus timing? Shout out to those 1,500 tickers that are gone now. Would have been cool if you guys weren't in those. So it's the dividend on this one, 3% dividend. Steve does have a good point. Back to the Palantir one. Palantir should have better growth than Ford for the next few years. Yeah, I do agree there. Ford's flat, so you kind of need that dividend. Palantir will probably make up with growth in shares. I bought one cheap contract because Buffett just bought a ton. He also bought the airlines. Remember, at the peak? And they sold it at the bottom. He's kind of an old guy right now. Why is Buffett buying Sirius Satellite Radio? Did he just find out about it? Was he out on his walker and found out about satellite radio? You telling me I get signal right here? I'm just kidding. I don't actually want to say anything disrespectful about him. But that seems like a weird ticker for him to be buying. I mean, it's not Buffett's not actually out there on Robinhood just buying things away. He's got a whole team doing it for him. But this seems like a very odd ticker. Dividend or not. I mean, who cares if it pays a 3% dividend if it's losing 30% a year? I paid $312 for 2 years. 2 years out at the money. It's the next big thing. Is it? I can't stand when these guys call me all the time. Because every time you get a new car, you always get like 90 days or whatever it is free, and then they just call you asking you to renew it. And I get a new car like every 6 months. So it just seems like they're constantly calling me. Someone told him he could listen to your stream on Sirius XM. And he said, "Oh, my Don Fran taught me all I know. Buy it." Now, that seems more logical. I'm still curious. If he's still here. I need you to find out who that other YouTuber was that said I was his mentor. Hopefully his YouTube's doing better than mine. That would be super cool. There's a couple YouTubers that I've helped out that went from nothing to bigger than mine. Which I do find that pretty awesome. All right, if you're 2 years out, I guess you're hanging tight on this because 2 years out, this thing could probably shoot up to here. That contract's probably not going to move. You need to affect the what-if value for that contract to actually move. I have spam calling me right now. It's probably Sirius XM right now. Hey, heard you talking about us. Did you want a contract? All right, if I had the option to put $500 now and not touch it until you're 80, what would you put it in? Because I can't give financial advice, I really can't answer that. The smarter answer that someone probably would tell you would be the S&P 500, because statistically, this is why I make fun of people a lot that say it's time in versus timing. Time in versus timing applies to just this ticker. Can you read it on the screen? Focus up. Are you watching TikTok while you're driving? I'm talking to everybody. Look at the watermark right here. SPY. Period. It's the only thing that applies to. If I'm not going to touch it until I'm 80, SPY would just have to probably be the thing to do. Because I could speculate right now it's Palantir or Nvidia, Tesla. Tesla is going to be huge. That Optimus bot, I just don't think people know about. I get we know about it as YouTubers. Maybe in this group we know about Optimus, but you're out of your mind if you think Optimus isn't going to run this world. There's going to be robots everywhere, and it's going to be amazing because humans are obsessive. We just like to have things in bulk. Personally, I'm going to have 10 robots. I know I need 1, but I'm going to have 10. It's going to be funny. It's going to be awesome. I hope they have like a bowling feature. They can just stand up like bowling pins, and I can throw a beach ball at it. Like literally bowling in my backyard. And the robots won't even have feelings. It's going to be cool. So Tesla could be huge. There's strong arguments for a lot of these. But 80's 50 years away from me. Close to 50. If we round up, it's 50. So a lot of things can happen in 2, 5, 10 years, let alone all the way. So you would just have to put SPY. The cool thing about everything I just listed off, it's in the S&P. Palantir, it's going in the S&P. Amazon, Tesla, Meta, all the tickers I own are in the S&P. Now I manage them, but if one day they fall out of the S&P, you're not touching until you're 80, you're going to buy it and delete the app. Hey, S&P did all the work for you. They have homework. They did their homework. They picked the top 500 companies. They kept it in there. If Optimus all of a sudden sucks because you finally buy it, it couldn't even sweep your kitchen floor without falling through the floor, falling on its face, damaging your dishwasher and your oven. It sucks. Everyone's going to return it. Whatever. It leaves the S&P. Boom. So the S&P, you would, with inflation, it's like 7% a year is what you would make, but that's real money. So in theory, you should make 10% a year. So 1 year later, you're $550, $605 after that. I'm going to have 10 Optimus bots too. They will all be trading on Robinhood for me on their phones 24/7. My knees have been 80 since 1987. Wasn't even born in 1987. 4 days later, I was born in January 4th, 1988. Yeah, I don't know if Casey's having a I'm trying to keep it with the chat. Let's do a couple more tickers before we couple more. I just want to make sure we have any more questions. Casey's having a Tesla moment. 60 of you guys on the YouTube. Looks like, I don't know if that's 12. Oh, it's 12. 12 on TikTok. 8,100 likes on TikTok. Now we're talking. If it was 10,000, I would tell you guys the winning lottery numbers. True story. Thoughts on GME? It's toast. It sucks that it sounds like people did get roped into it again. I did see the most hilarious post on X the other day. I even shared it in my group. This guy is like, breaking news. They added more. They sold more shares. Now he says the company sold more shares to prepare for the pump to 150. For the record, when the company sells the shares, that's dilution. And once you own it, that's that. Once the company sells the shares, hands are washed. They're all done. Okay? They're not doing anything. Right? If they were preparing for the pump to 150, they would do a buyback. Got it backwards. The wild thing was this guy had 70,000 followers. Can you imagine 70,000 people reading that tweet thinking, oh my gosh, they diluted this thing because it's going to run to 150 plus? Yeah, banging. That's probably why I'm not big on YouTube or TikTok, because I just say weird things that are accurate. So thoughts on GameStop? Probably just wouldn't be in it. I've played it. You know, I've played it a couple times, but that's when the hype is actually there. I think this got reinvigorated when there was a tweet by Keith Gill. Was it last Friday? There was a lot of call options bought. Then there was a tweet, and then those call options got sold. I think that was a one and done. I think that was it. Dilution equals cutting the same pizza into more slices, smaller pieces. Yeah. All right, so I hate to say it. I want to spend more time on GameStop. I wish there was more I could say, but honestly, if you guys, and I mean this to everybody, I don't want to offend anybody because every time I talk about GameStop, somebody gets offended because they are going to be a millionaire one day when it goes to 1,000 or 100,000 or whatever the numbers are. It's done. It's time to move on. You really had some institutions buy the balls when they had naked calls sold, and it shot up to $350, $500, whatever it did that very first time. They're not going to let it happen again. Your first clue should have been when they had YouTubers on mainstream news. Okay, when you get a margin call, you have to put more money in your account. How do you get more money in your account? You deposit it, you sell some options contracts. So you keep the YouTubers on the mainstream news, you keep the spark alive, and all they do is sell calls and puts all day, every day, and here's your money. And they did it for a while, and you guys fell for every trap. There's just not going to be a movement. I guess if I'm wrong, whatever. But honestly, I really would just find another ticker. The hedges paid them to dilute it so they could get out of their shorts. That's one thing I've noticed about people in GameStop and AMC. They have more excuses than a politician. And man, they can kick the can down the road. They should entertain a career in politics. The way they can kick a can down the road, come up with those excuses and say, but wait, there's more, mind-blowing. If you put half that energy and focus into anybody profitable, come watch my stream. Spend half that time and figure out why I draw that yellow box. You would be just thousands of dollars better off. Probably right out of the gate. As far as Huma, this is basically me. One day I'm going to have the in and I'm going to be a human. I'm almost there. I'm downloading the human protocol. So one day it'll be cool. I'll be able to talk to you guys and I'll sound like one of you humans. If I'm buying this right now, I'm going to hope that's a higher low. My stop's at 510. This is not, I don't really like buying cheap stuff like this. It's cheap for a reason. There is a reason Tesla was $7,500 and Amazon was $3,500 before the split. Google, $3,500 for the split. There's a reason Meta's $511. There is a reason this is $5.69. It's not because they forgot about it. It's just cheap because it sucks. Before anyone calls out and tells me about a cool ticker, doesn't necessarily suck, but it's got some work ahead of it. You can find good tickers all day long. I think Sound is a good one. Serve is a good one. Nvidia is invested in them. They're cheap. Right now they suck. They're just too small. I maybe need to find a better word than suck. They're just not there yet. Huma just might be one of those. So in this wheel bracket, I'm just going to take that higher low only because of the bullish engulfing. Looks like we finally got a signal to turn around. Let's go. Eddie says, do you believe it's worth investing into BTC? The ticker BTC. Is there a ticker BTC? Eddie, are you talking about? I like that Eddie's the YouTube member. You need to have. I know you have my zones, but you need to have your own stream for being a YouTube member. Got that green name, little green star. Are you talking about Bitcoin? So it's not Bitcoin. There is a ticker called BTC. Is it an OTC ticker? Let's go to charts. BTC. Community Banker? Just to be clear, we're talking about Community Banker? Grayscale Bitcoin. I thought Grayscale was something else. What is Grayscale? I buy Bitcoin every week. It's not worth trading. What is? Did I spell that wrong? GBTC. That's what it is. I don't think it's worth buying this. I would just have. I don't know why anybody does buy Grayscale Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin ETFs out there now directly. Well, I don't understand why you wouldn't just buy Bitcoin in itself and actually have it. It's easy. There's nothing to really figure out, especially if you're on Robinhood. Sounds like you're on Thinkorswim. I would much rather find a way to buy Bitcoin than I would anything else. Now I'll tell you how I buy Bitcoin. Sorry for everyone that's heard this a million times over the years. $200 of Bitcoin, $200 of Ethereum, $200 into a savings account. Literally every week, it's automated. And when Bitcoin does dip, then I take the savings account and put it in there. It has to really dip. I'm not talking about a red candle on a 15-minute. But just by Mara Horizon, same thing. Definitely not the same thing. But I guess you could buy this one. I think iBit would probably be a little bit better. This is a Bitcoin trust. Now they own the Bitcoin. This is a pretty new launch. But I would rather have this over Grayscale. The one I own in the growth account right now is Beto. So this I think is gonna really pick up. We don't have any sold calls on right now, do we? I don't think we do. In my main account, I have the 1850s sold. But this also pays a dividend every month. So this month we just collected to yesterday. What's today? Wednesday? $1.20 per share. We only have 100 shares, so it's $120. The month before was $144. So it pays a better dividend. This is a Bitcoin futures ETF. All of these I would rather have than Grayscale Bitcoin. The only reason I would say Grayscale Bitcoin is if you're in a tax advantage account that just doesn't allow these ETFs. I know for a while there that was the whole reason to have Grayscale. You couldn't buy Bitcoin. You needed to have Grayscale. But I think you can have these now. And I would just be in that. ASTS has launched tomorrow. Space Mobile. Send it. These were the guys that... okay, no. Are these the ones that NASA paid for 4 missions already? Or am I mixing that with somebody else? All right, but they have a launch tomorrow. I still find it weird when there's a launch and like it doesn't blow up, so everyone buys the stocks. My brain doesn't get it. It just doesn't compute. That's just when you originally think of like stocks and valuing a company and all that, and everyone's like, "Hey, they made a rocket and it didn't blow up." You're like, valuation, time to double. But I guess this one I would play the move. It'd be a higher low. I would have to put my stop at 23.85. Satellite-based cell phone provider. Verizon uses them. Okay. Who am I thinking of then? Who's the one that they had a launch a while back? NASA had paid for 6 missions. There was 1 successful launch. That's going to bug me. I need to know. Do zones on Beto work since it has such a big dividend? That chart looks like a 2x ETF with decay. I'm going to say yes and no. I think we're both right. For now, I would trust probably more the zones on Bitcoin than I do Beto for alerts. But no, I'd say you're right as far as that. Is it Rocket Lab? No, because we just had it. AT&T also joined with them. Oh, I'd much rather have this than AT&T stock. I don't know if it's Rocket Lab. This was just a little bit ago. Is it Rocket Lab? It looks... I thought it was earlier this year because it sent it. We even took a play on it. SPCE. No, it's not SPCE. That's everybody's favorite pump and dump. At least it was, but it's retired now. Boeing. I'm not taking any plays on Boeing. No, it was like a $6 ticker. Is it Lunar? Or is that a solar company? Now I'm mixing them up. Guys, there's Intuitive Machines. I want to say it's them. This is them right here. It's got to be them. Space exploration. Okay, this should have six missions funded by NASA already. I think that's what caused this pump up earlier. Yeah, because we took this play. It's Lunar. Thank you. I would have woke up at like 2 a.m. finally like realizing that like it's Lunar. So I appreciate getting to sleep tonight. All right. I have to get going. Tractor Supply Company. Well, I do like it when it goes from the lower left to the upper right. Here's the Rona crash, that huge pandemic that everybody freaked out about. Your 401k cut in half. Give the world some money. That little blip right there that we overshadowed by this leg down, this leg down, this leg down. That might as well be another Rona crash. Man, this one looks good. What? Does this pay a dividend too? $1.10? Now, I'm not going to buy it, but I got to say, like, just first impressions of a ticker looks like this. You know, like people call it penny stocks, and the conversation is usually, why are we talking about this? This one is not really why are we talking, but like how much are we talking? Because you still want to be mindful of your allocation. But I'd say this one looks all right. If I'm buying this as a dividend ticker, I guess I'm grabbing some right now. I'd want to grab some now. I would save some in case it were to dip down to the 250 level. But I'd want some now. I would add on this zone before it broke out up. They sell baby chicks at Easter. You know how many of those I've bought? Because, first of all, men, do not let any female go into that store and see the stupid little ducks. Because all of a sudden, every girl needs to have a pet duck. And I don't know if you guys know this. You got to buy the little heated bulb, everything like that. And then they fly away. They fly away, or a coyote gets them. Like, I've seen every scenario. Either eat the just kidding, don't eat the thing. I know where that's going to go. I want to take them all home. Then I remember how much chicken I eat. Yeah, it's chicken, ducks, and is that it? Why do I think they sell rabbits too? I know they don't. Send Don some kittens. He has girls. I have enough cats. I have 3 cats. One's black, one's gray, one's white. And it is chocolate chip, graham cracker, and marshmallow. So together they do make s'mores. I always wanted a pet duck. Stop. Gary Williams says, I have some, wondering when to sell. Gary, I will hang. Okay, you have some of this right here. Wondering when to sell. Were you afraid you might make too much? What do you mean? If I'm in a ticker like this, can I ask when you got in? That'll tell me that you're maybe a time frame you're on. Because if I got in down here, my feet are up on the desk. I've probably long forgotten about this ticker, and my stop's at 238.35. Keep them away from certain people, I hear. I really want to answer this question. Early 2023. Oh, okay. So we are. Okay. Honestly, I would put my stop right here, or maybe this previous high or low. So I would put my stop at 245.45 and just hang out. Period. You know, like it's going to shoot up. It's going to hit this zone. It's going to break above. It's going to come back down, test this zone from the top, and bounce. You know, so when it does, let's say it does this, finally gets above, comes back out, just kind of keeps on that path. Just keeps on keeping on. at this point right here, when it bounces, and we're right about this vicinity, I would put my stop at 280.85. And I would just stay on the daily time frame and just watch out for these higher lows, put my stop right there, because why would you ever want to get out of a ticker that's just performing well? You're on the gain train. There's no need to jump out of this thing. Hang tight. It's working well. It's paying a dividend. We've checked all the boxes. You got a cushion built on this. And it goes from the lower left to the upper right. Maybe you're not even that excited to sell. You're just thinking about it. We're at all-time highs, and it just keeps making all-time highs. That's the tickers you want. Worst case scenario, you're in that ticker forever. Sweet. You know how many GameStop people would love to have that problem? It just keeps going up. Your money just keeps going up. These are great problems to have. This would be a hard one to exit. If I'm in it, it just keeps doing that. Because to exit this, I have to find a better deal, which there's probably been since your time, early 2023. This is sideways, but just now going up. So earlier, I probably could have found a better deal. But right now, since we're moving, we finally got some traction. Stay in it. Let it go. Put your stop there. Good till cancel. It doesn't go away. Put it right there on the higher low. Because anything there or above is just sideways. Everything's good. It's not down. And then I would just keep an eye on it. All right. I am going to wrap it up here. We're at 100% like ratio on YouTube. This is a 2-hour stream. This is a long stream. Anyway, shout out to everybody. I'll see you guys. Mentorship. I'll see you guys bright and early in the morning. It's tomorrow, Thursday. We will be live again tomorrow. Have a good one.